Hi, this is Jake for BandLab, and in this video, we're going to make a festival tech house beat in BandLab's free online DAW. You can open this project yourself in the link in the video description. And if you find this guide useful, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to be the first to know when new videos drop. I start by setting the project tempo to 126 BPM and the project key to D minor. The first element I'm going to make is a drum kit. I open BandLab's Sounds, click the One Shots tab, and enter kick into the text search field. Kick mustard is the kind of sound I'm looking for. I create a new track and set it to sampler. I drag kick mustard onto the first sample pad. Next, I want to clap. I enter clap into the text search field, and clap stash is the one for me this time. I drag it onto the second sample pad. The last drum sound I want is an open hat. I enter open hat into the text search field, and this time it's Ultra Bounce Percussion Open Hat 1 that catches my ear. I drag this onto the third sample pad. This sound is a little long, so I move the sample endpoint to just above the pan knob. I set this sample's volume to -1 dB to balance it with the other drum sounds. I compose a simple pattern with kicks on the beats, claps on every other beat, and hats between the beats. I duplicate this bar out for the whole 4-bar clip. To duplicate notes or clips in BandLab, hold Option on Mac or Alt on Windows and drag them over. This pattern is working for me, but we're already clipping the master channel, so I turn the track down to -6 dB. Next, I want a bass line. I create a new virtual instrument track and set it to basses, synth basses, deep house. I program in a 2-bar bass line that plays D, E, and F. I duplicate this out to fill the 4-bar clip. Now I want a lead sound. I add another virtual instrument track and set it to basses, synth basses, dirty wub. I program in a 1-note lead line that plays on just the root note. Again, this is a 2-bar groove that I duplicate out to 4 bars. This sound has a heavy low end that I feel is undesirable in this context. So I open the effects panel and add a tone EQ3M effect. I turn down the low gain to -13 dB. These are the main elements of the track, but I'm going to need some extra transitional sounds to help me make an arrangement. I know I'm going to have a big snare build in the track, so in BandLab Sounds, I search for snare. 606 snare is the sort of sound I want. I create a new sampler track and drag in 606 snare onto the first sample pad. I set this track's volume level to -6 dB. I program in a snare roll with hits on 16th notes. Now we need a riser. In BandLab Sounds, I select the Loops tab and search for riser. Buzzlight riser is exactly what I want. I drag this into the project. I want to test out how my drop is going to sound. So I move the drums, bass, and lead onto bar 5, giving me a demo build-up and drop that helps me hear how things are progressing. I want more impact on the drop, so in BandLab's Sounds, I click the One Shots tab and search for Crash. I drag Silver Yacht Crash into the project, and position is on the drop. That's cool, but the drop doesn't have enough impact, so next I search for Stab. Grime 101 Horn Stab is the kind of sound I want, so again I drag it into the project and position it on the drop. I double-click the sample to bring it up to the editor panel and set the pitch shift parameter to -3, which puts the sample into the correct key. Now I'm happy with the drop, but I want another element I can use to flesh out the arrangement. I duplicate out the drum, bass, and lead parts. In BandLab's Sounds, I click the Packs tab and enter Effects into the search field. Warehouse Techno Synth and Effects sounds ideal, so I open the pack and set the instrument filter to Effects. WT128 Effects Loop 2-bar Pun sounds suitable, so I drag it into the project and position it on bar 9. I duplicate the clip. I set this track to -4.5 dB. Now I have all the elements I want. It's time to make an arrangement. The arrangement starts with drums and lead for an 8-bar intro, then goes into a big breakdown. In the breakdown, the lead line changes to a new pattern. I put a studio reverb on the lead track and automate the mix level to go from fully wet at the start of the breakdown to fully dry on the drop. Similarly, to bring the snare in, I use a gain effect automated to bring the volume level up. I also switch up the snare to 30-second notes for the final 2 beats before the drop. Here's how the breakdown and build-up sounds in its entirety. After 8 bars, the warehouse techno rhythm loop comes in. On bar 49, the loop drops out and we switch the lead line up to the breakdown pattern. On bar 57, the techno loop resumes. On bar 65, the lead line drops out. On bar 73, the rhythm loop leaves the mix, and we have 16 bars of beats and bass as an outro. You can fork this project and make your own version of it using the link in the video description. Have fun!